Look, if you're in leadership or HR, you already know the absolute agony of this. You pour massive amounts of money into retention programs, you meticulously build the culture, you buy the premium snacks, and yet you still have to stand there and watch your top talent walk right out the door. The revolving door just keeps spinning. Well, in today's explainer, we're completely flipping the script. We're going to dive into what's called the architecture of alignment, and we'll see exactly why treating retention as this reactive, post-hire HR problem is fundamentally broken. We've all seen the classic corporate playbook, right? It relies so heavily on perks. We're talking free lunches, unlimited PTO, and of course, the infamous ping pong table. But the harsh reality staring us in the face is that talented people still leave. Because here's the thing, you can offer literally all the free pizza in the world, but if someone is sitting in a role they fundamentally can't succeed in, or honestly don't even want, those perks mean absolutely nothing. Treating retention as a problem you can just throw perks at isn't a strategy, it's just inertia. And that brings us to the classic exit interview lie. I'm just pursuing a new opportunity. I mean, how many times have you heard this one? When your departing employees finally sit down with HR, they almost never reveal the real reasons they're leaving. And honestly, why would they? They want good references. They absolutely do not want to burn bridges. But if we keep ignoring what's hiding beneath this polite little excuse, we're going to keep throwing our budgets at the exact wrong retention solutions. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what happens when we pull back the curtain on those diplomatic answers. When an employee tells you they're just ready for a change, what they're actually saying is the job they interviewed for isn't the job they got. It's a skill mismatch. Praising a great team, well, that usually masks the harsh reality that they're facing structurally impossible growth paths. And that whole "we promote from within" thing, yeah, that's just an empty slogan if the criteria to actually move up are a complete mystery to everyone. And the data backs this up in a seriously shocking way. Check this out. According to CloudHire's internal analysis, a massive 68% of regrettable attrition happens within the first 18 months. Just let that sink in for a second. The people you desperately wanted to keep aren't leaving because of bad perks or work-life balance. This huge chunk is driven almost entirely by role misalignment right from day one. Attrition isn't some mysterious force. It's highly predictable, and it starts the moment you make a hire. So what does this all mean? Well, it leads us to a pretty provocative question. Why do traditional retention strategies almost always plateau after 6 to 12 months? You've probably noticed this incredibly confusing corporate phenomenon. You roll out a shiny new wellness program, your engagement survey scores tick up, but actual attrition stays completely flat. Why? Because engagement programs might make people feel temporarily better, but they don't fix the core issue that the job itself just doesn't fit them. Let's break down why these traditional assumptions are so flawed. First off, they're totally reactive. We just wait until turnover spikes and then scramble to fix symptoms. Second, we rely on these one-size-fits-all approaches. Look, what keeps a senior engineer locked in is vastly different from an entry-level sales rep. And we constantly overinvest in late-stage fixes. Throwing a state interview or a retention bonus at a fundamentally mismatched employee who's already checked out, that is a terrible return on investment for sure. Okay, for you data folks out there, here's the standard HR math for calculating your employee retention rate. It's good to know, obviously, but let's be real. Calculating the number on a spreadsheet once a quarter is the easy part. Understanding what fundamentally drives this metric is far more crucial than the math itself. We have to start looking at the hidden leverage points that we've been missing all along. And here is the biggest hidden lever of all. Mishires compound so much faster than simple disengagement. Just one person in the wrong role creates this massive drag on the entire system. Projects slow down, suddenly your high performers are forced to compensate and pick up all the slack, frustration builds, and soon enough, your absolute best people start interviewing elsewhere. Because teams don't leave companies, right? They leave chronic misfits. Just one wrong hire instantly creates multiple cascading retention risks. So, how do we actually fix this? It requires a total paradigm shift. Retention is engineered through hiring accuracy. It is not managed through late-stage HR programs. Think about it. The retention process doesn't start at the one-year anniversary. It doesn't even start at onboarding. It starts the exact second you post that job description, because highly motivated people sitting in the wrong roles are still going to leave the minute they realize the job doesn't actually match their strengths. Which brings us to the real pillars of sustainable retention. Let's kick this off. Pillar number 1, role clarity over role prestige. Look, employees don't need inflated, fancy job titles. They desperately need explicit skill expectations and incredibly clear success metrics. When the role is crystal clear from day one, candidates can actually be honest with themselves about the fit during the interview. Ambiguity during hiring, that's exactly what breeds the misalignment that turns into a resignation letter a year later. Moving right along, the second pillar is fair growth paths over vague promises. We absolutely have to stop relying on empty slogans like, "We offer great growth opportunities," if the path to get there is completely invisible. True, sustainable retention requires transparent, skill-based advancement. It needs to be tied to demonstrable capability, not who you know or office politics. Your people need to know exactly what specific skills they have to acquire to earn that next promotion. And the third pillar is manager enablement over manager blame. We hear it all the time. People leave managers, not companies. But hold on, think about this for a second. Your manager often didn't even hire the person. They inherited them. They're out there trying to manage a massive skills gap they had absolutely no part in creating. Managers are retention sustainers. They aren't saviors. We cannot blame them for attrition rooted in poor hiring decisions. Instead, we have to equip them with clear, objective performance criteria. Now, when you actually put these pillars into practice through skill-based hiring, the results are just staggering. CloudHire dropped this heavy-hitting data point, and it shows that companies using skill-based hiring achieve an incredible 47% lower regrettable attrition rate compared to organizations still relying on the old-school resume review. To put that into perspective, you are literally cutting your loss of top talent nearly in half, simply by shifting how you evaluate candidates at the front door. So how exactly does shifting to capabilities engineer that kind of retention? It comes down to this equation: prioritizing actual skills over prestigious resumes. It means relying on hard evidence, like work samples, rather than a hiring manager's gut feel. The candidate knows exactly what they'll be doing, and you know for a fact they can actually do it. The result? Far fewer of those nasty post-hire surprises, where the job isn't what anyone thought it was. You structurally engineer retention by completely eliminating those surprises. Ultimately, we have to graduate our thinking. We need to move away from these exhausting reactive retention initiatives and start building scalable, proactive retention systems. Programs are exhausting. They require constant energy, new budgets, and endless cheerleading. Systems, on the other hand, run consistently in the background. By building an infrastructure rooted in accurate hiring, HR can finally stop putting out fires every time turnover spikes and start systematically creating the exact conditions that make top talent genuinely want to stay. I'm going to leave you with this final, stark truth. You can't retain what you never aligned. Retention isn't about desperately convincing people to stay by bribing them with better perks. It comes down to one thing. Did you hire the right person for the right role with completely clear expectations? Because when that alignment exists, retention just happens naturally. So take a hard look at your organization today. Are you engineering alignment right from day one? Or are you just budgeting for more ping pong tables next year? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.